Hello everyone. It is Friday. What is today? The 23rd? No, 21st. 22nd, 23rd. Yeah, 20, right? 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Today's 21st because my birthday is Tuesday, which is the 25th. Welcome to the Meet My Brachys. This is, I'm going to show all the Brachypelma species and all the species that I have. Introduce you to them. We're going to rehouse this little guy here. This is the Brachypelma vagans. This is Alistair. We're suspecting female with this one. We're moving it from a little container like that to a little bit wider, not quite as deep, but gave her a log to go into. I had this one originally in something with much deeper substrate, and it never even moved dirt at all. So again, sometimes they burrow, sometimes they don't. Individuals will vary. I always like to try and give them the opportunity when they're littler to do this. If they don't, it's, to me, really, I mean, you can make them comfortable, don't get me wrong, if you have the room and you want to put them in something bigger and deeper to give them that opportunity to burrow if they choose to. If you are limited with space, giving them something that they cannot burrow in or can burrow just a little bit, I generally try to give them something to hide in or around, like that little log there. That's just a Petco or PetSmart, I think, maybe, on sale for $3 little aquarium thing for fish. So we're going to try and move this one, and just me grabbing the enclosure pissed this spider off. So it was in threat posture immediately. So we're going to see if we can't get it to move, and then we'll probably try feeding it, and then we'll move on to the, I can't remember, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Brachys that I have total, unless I missed somebody over there, which I don't think I did, but with that many you never know. So let's see how this goes. I've never done a rehouse live on camera. As you know, I'm not a huge fan of it. You see and it's funny how you could be prepared for that spider to lunge and do whatever, and it still freaks you out because they are so fast and you jump. I don't care who you are, it's going to make you jump. So we'll just kind of lightly touch the legs, let her know, that she can crawl up. So now she's in her home, so she really doesn't want to leave it. And I'm not going to push her too far or too hard. We'll just take our time moving her in. Now she's going to flick some hairs. So we just kind of gradually get her up to the side, and then just gently kind of coax her back down. And she's going to have, again, more room, not as deep, but I did throw her plant and some leaves and her, her original water dish that needs water in it, back in there, so she does have a little bit of comfort level. So what I'm going to do is get her covered up. We'll get this enclosure out. We'll get her covered up, give her a little bit of time, and we'll bring her back at the end and try feeding her. Okay, so let's move on to the next set of Brachys. Okay, take two. I actually recorded 2 Brachys, and I did it without realizing that my camera was facing in the up position. When you film with your cameras, if you put them in the horizontal or the long position in your hands, and you don't actually get them to tilt all the way, with this, my phone anyway, sometimes it'll still want to record in the vertical or the up and down position, and that's what I did, and that never turns out good on HD or in the widescreen. It shows up like darkened on the sides, and I don't like doing the videos that way, so we're going to reshoot those two. This is the Brachypelma albiceps, as I'm shaking all over the place. I can't find my tripod. I don't know where I put it. I wanted to do this all with a tripod. I don't know where I put it. So this is the Mexican Gold, I think is their common name. Molted last, I don't know, was it 5 or 6 days ago, so it's going to be ready to eat. I'm going to put a crushed cricket in there and see if it'll go for it. And well, I'm going to do the feedings all at the end, so I will cram all the feeding parts back in. So I wanted to introduce everybody first and then do the feeding part. So this is the albiceps, and we will move on to the one of the 3 Brachypelma humoris I have. Okay, so here is the first of 3 Brachypelma humoris in a small little enclosure. Let me get my finger in there. Not a very big sling, a little under a ½ inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch, about the same size, and actually just a tad bit bigger than the albiceps. Again, anybody who's had Brachypelmas know they don't grow very quickly. When we get to Obi, I'll do the age and size comparison with him. Again, he's a male, so they will grow a tad bit quicker than females will. Not necessarily always true, but you know, you can kind of guess that way, because he did, for a brachy, he grew pretty decent in the amount of time that I've had him and what size I got him in as. So this is Pepper, and the albiceps I named Oro, which is again Spanish for gold. This one's named Pepper just because I like the name, and this is the Mexican red knee, and we'll move on to one of the elbow pilosums. Here is the suspected sheep. This is Rosado. I got this one the same time I got Alistair, the Brachypelma vagans that you saw in the beginning. This one has been following Lincoln, which is the larger, well, that's the largest Brachypelma elbow pilosum that I have, female, molted a handful of days ago, and this one molted yesterday. There's the molt mat. There's the spider. We're going to try and sex the molt and determine for sure if this is a female, which we suspected on the last molt. So we're going to clean out the dish there, give her some water, and let her be for a few days before we go ahead and try to feed her. So that's her, or possibly him, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, here is the second of the 4 Brachypelma elbow pilosums down there in the dirt. Now this one molted not that long ago either, and is also a suspected female. The molt's still small, so it's, again, sometimes it's hard to tell, especially with Brachypelma vagans and Brachypelma elbow pilosum, when they're small, differentiating between what sometimes you believe is the uterus externus or the spermathecae versus male accessory organs. So sometimes you get fooled, and it's always better to continue to check the molts as they grow to you'll get to the point where you'll be able to tell without any problem. Again, this one's suspected female. This is Juno. This was the smallest of the 4 that I have, and the last of the hobby forms. Again, I do have the one Nicaraguan that we'll see here real soon. We'll move on. This one's going to be ready to eat, so we'll be feeding and watering all these again at the very end, except for the 2 tiny slings, and of course the Rosado, the Brachypelma elbow pilosum that molted the last day or 2, and also Lincoln is not ready yet either, the largest of the 4 elbow pilosums. Okay, so this was the Brachypelma vagan sling that I got back from the girl that I gave these to, and the 7 or 8 that I had given to. I don't remember what we had named this one, so I'll have to go back through the in memoriam section of the Tarantula app to find out what I had called it. This is a Brachypelma vagans, Mexican red rump. This is one of the 2 that I have currently, with 5 coming that were offspring of the male that I sent my friend Vlad, which is kind of cool that, you know, I'm actually going to get some offspring of the spider that I owned and, you know, help produce the babies that he had. So this one should be ready to eat. It hasn't eaten yet since I got it back here. I'm hoping that it'll eat. So again, at the end of the video, I will be doing all the feeding. Hopefully, when I get done with the intros, I'm going to find my tripod and get that set up to make it a little bit easier for me. Okay, let's move to the next ones. Okay, here is Thaisa. This is hopefully, again, it's a girl's name. That's a flat-out girl's name. I named this one Thaisa after Thaisa Figueroa, I think her last name is. She was the young actress on the original American Horror Story, and her sister played Norma Bates on the Bates Motel series. Very talented family. I just love the name Thaisa. I thought it was a cool name, and this is what we decided to name this one, so hopefully it's a female. If not, we may have to rename it because that might be kind of funny. But this is the, again, Brachypelma classy, the Mexican pink. Starting to get a little bit of color. Molted not too long ago. Probably not ready yet. I did look at it earlier. The fangs are black, so we may try and feed it a small cricket and see what it does. If it shies away from it right away, then we'll probably just take it right back out. But we might give it a shot. But we do want to make sure I get everybody watered today. It is really, really hot. It's been really hot and really humid here in McCain. This time of year, of course, we get a lot of bring up storms where they just come out of nowhere because of the lake. We get a lot of weather that comes over the lake from Canada. And we do get most of the weather that you see in Chicago. We generally will get here, but it'll like run up through Ohio and come across, depending on which way the trade winds are going. But it's been really, really hot and muggy. And in my room, all I use is a fan. Again, I used to have an air conditioner in the window, but that does no good for the tarantulas because for it to be comfortable for me, you know, I would run the air conditioner during the day and I'd come home and it would be like really cold, you know, like 65 or 64, maybe even a little less in here. Not that the tarantulas can't handle that, because again, if you have a certain temperature that they get used to, they're going to be okay in that temperature. But the cooler that they are, the less likely they are to feed, and less likely they are to, of course, if they're not feeding, they're not growing, they're not molting. So it right now is probably in the mid to high 70s in my room where everybody's at, with just a fan blowing, so it's circulating air constantly through the room. It'll blow against the walls and then it'll push out through the sides, which gets over to all the enclosures. I actually did a small test the other day with a string of paper where I would hold it in certain places to see if it was actually moving with the wind. And it did move slightly because, I mean, it's not super, you know, a super current over there, but it's enough movement of air that there's constantly circulation going through. And that's my problem with my Pac-Man frog, is that I spray it, I soak it, and the next day it's completely dry again. So I have to figure out where I can put her that she won't dry out as quickly. So, okay, so yeah, I'm rambling on about a frog, and we're supposed to be doing brachy video here. So we'll move on to Maligro, which is a Brachypelma hamori, and I'll show you her. Here is Maligro. This is Brachypelma hamori I got from Anastasia at NetBugs. I got this one in with a Brachypelma Amelia, and I can't remember the other sling that I got in. I got 3 of them all at the same time, and when this one came in, out of the 3, this one was not moving at all. Again, I think I told this story, but bear with me if you've heard it. We thought for sure that the sling was dead. I took some pictures, I sent it to her, and she felt really bad because she really cares about the animals, and every sling to her is a life. And so what I did is I put it in an enclosure. I dampened the substrate down. Nothing else was in there, no decor, no nothing, just wet substrate. Went to work, came home, and the little bugger was crawling around. So it made it, and it's molted a few times successfully. You can see the colorings are starting to come in. Next molt they'll come in a little bit more prominently, and then by the molt after that we should really have the reddish coloring coming in. So again, this is the second of the 3 Brachypelma hamori that I own. I'd have 20 of these. I love them. They're not my favorite Brachypelma species. Those will be coming up. But I do really like the looks of these, and the classic tea of the hobby. You can't go wrong with them. We'll check out the last of the homoris next, which will be Obi, and you'll see the difference in the coloring. Again, most of you that watch my channel, I'm sure, have these tarantulas. If not, I hope this is a good idea of the stages. You can see what the maybe I'll put all 3 of them together next to each other so you can see what it looks like as a sling, and then a little larger sling, because this one here is about 1.25 inches, roughly, diagonal leg span. And if you guys go to Tom Moran's channel, he just did a great 2-part video on sling husbandry, everything you need to know about from A to Z, getting a sling, where to get it from, how to unpack it, how to water it, what to house it in, everything, how to feed it, what to feed it, how often to feed it. It's a great 2-piece video, but be prepared. It's about 70 to 80 minutes long in 2 parts. I think 30 plus minutes the first one, 44 plus the second one. So he gives you a bunch of information, and it goes in stride with his blog on his blog channel, Tom's Big Spiders. So yeah, go check that out. That'll give you some very useful information. I don't have the patience and the know-how to do all the stuff that he does in his videos, the editing, the adding of text, and all that other stuff. I mean, I've added text to spiders before, just like the name, but I haven't had the time to actually learn all this stuff. And hopefully, as I progress in my channel, that all that stuff will eventually come together, and we'll start using, I keep saying this, I'm going to start using the video camera, because we don't use it for anything else. We used to use it all the time, and now that we have the Canon Rebel, we got that from my dad because he upgraded his camera. So we got a Canon Rebel EOS last year, which my wife uses. You can do video on that, and that's what she actually uses most of the time to do video with. So I'm going to kind of hijack the video camera and get all the stuff together, the batteries charged up, and then I can do videos with the camera, with the phone, and once I get the hang of the GoPro, I can do different angles and learn how to meld those videos or blend those videos together, hopefully, with my laptop. So I have to get the right program that I feel comfortable with, which I've been recommended the Adobe video editing program. That one seems to be what my brother-in-law recommended. It's user-friendly for beginners, and you can do some really interesting things with it. So I think that's where I'm going to go soon. I want to get through this summer, and then I'll start dabbling with stuff in the fall and winter. So look by November, December, you'll start seeing videos done with the video camera instead of with my phone. So till then, bear with me. I know that this phone actually does pretty decent video work. Now the guy behind the camera or the phone sometimes isn't very good, but we'll do the best we can with what we have, and hopefully that everything comes out okay and everybody likes what they see. So let's get Obi. Okay, there's Obi, and you can see the colors. Obi is about 2.5 inches, maybe 2.25. Male, Brachypelma hamori. The most skittish, actually, out of all the Brachys that I have. He tends to want to fly when you're taking the lid off, or when you're throwing prey items in there. But he has been a surface dweller from the time I got him, and this is the first spider that I actually ordered online for myself. Like I said, it was like an early Christmas present for me. I got it from Cody Wilson. This was back in 2015 in the fall. It was a little over a half-inch sling. So in the year and 3/4 that I've had it, it's grown about 1 inch and roughly 3/4. So they don't grow real fast, but this one grows steadily. Eats really well. You know when it's going into pre-molt, because this one he never really refuses food. The one time he ate and 2 days later molted. So, and that one kind of took me aback, because that was back when he was still little, and he had that black patch, but it wasn't that shiny black, so his whole abdomen wasn't black. So it was like what you see there, that little black patch in the backside there. That's what you were seeing with that one. It ate a small cricket, and then boom, 2 days later it was on its back molting. So it kind of took me off guard. But this is one of my favorite spiders, only because, again, it was the first one that I ever ordered, and I have been, slowly but surely trading off the males that I have, but I don't believe that this one will go anywhere. This one will be here with me to the end, and this would be a spider that, when he does get to the point where he's penultimate or going to mature, which will still be a few years away, I will find a female for him. I would breed him with a female, but I wouldn't want to send him off to somebody to breed. I want to make sure that I take care of him, and he's my pal till the end. Whichever one comes first, him or I. But again, one of my favorite spiders that I have in my collection. Not necessarily my favorite species of spider I have in my collection, but he personally, again, because of sentimental reasons, one of my favorite guys. So we'll be feeding him again, so it'll be his second or third small feeding. This one will probably be a decent sized cricket for him, which will be his, now we'll go back to the checking the abdomen size once every other week or so before I feed him again. Okay, let's move on to the other one so that I can get to some feedings. Here is Callista, the Brachypelma albopilosum nicaraguan, curlier than crap, hates its water dish. This is how I found it 90% of the time. I will move that over to its normal, because while it's actually like right there, fill it with water. By morning she will have it flipped. She's not a water fan whatsoever. She did drink when I first brought her home, but I have not seen her in the water bowl since then. Again, I don't know if this is a female or male. My friend's hoping for a male. I'm hoping for a female, because I want that big, bulky, curly, super curly albopilosum. I don't have to get another one so that I can try to get a female. But yeah, we'll feed her or him one more time again for normal feedings, and then and this will be, she's on like an every other week. I check up on them to make sure. The spiderlings I try to do a little bit quicker. I did go to Petco on my way home from work and get 30 small crickets and 30 large crickets. I put about 10 big crickets in with the geckos, so I have about 20 of those to feed off. She will get a big one. Obi will get a big one. We'll probably feed the Vagans a decent sized one, and then we'll feed the other ones, of course, the smaller crickets. So let's move on to now, which will be my last 3. Well, actually no, there's 4 more, but we're not going to move Lincoln. She's underneath. I'll take you to her is what we'll do. So I'll just go over there in video, and she's the last of the albopilosums. Okay, so there she is. Again, I think that we will move her out of here and move somebody else in here. I can't remember exactly who I was thinking about putting in here, but it's got to be a decent sized spider, because I've really put some big holes in this one. This was a test enclosure over the winter, because I had a couple enclosures up on my shelf, and with it, the coldness here, in the wintertime, and with the heat running, you would get that, like at nighttime, you'd wake up and a lot of the enclosures would have condensation in them, because in the middle of the night, when the heater would run, the heat would rise to the top, and the enclosures that were on the top shelf, especially up by the back walls, would get moisture in it. So this was a test to see if I can eliminate that by increasing the size of the holes, which it worked. This one did not get condensation in it anymore, and I also added a few holes on top. That was also the experiment, because I don't like putting holes on top of these ones. I just like the airflow going in and out, whichever way that may be. For different tarantulas, I do like to find spots that you could put air holes in, so that you have what, you know, if you're going to put some air holes, like say down here, you'll get like what we call a chimney effect, where the air is going in down here and then rising up as the pressure goes up and then coming out the top. But you know, with the Brachys, they don't need a ton of that. They like it arid, they like it dry. She's doing well so far. She does need something, I think, a tad bit bigger, because she's a female, and she's going to get a good 6-inch, maybe even a little bit bigger, solid, bulky tee. So we're going to go ahead and probably put her in something that she'll be in for the next couple years. Something that's not probably just as tall, maybe a little bit taller than this, and you know, probably about this much longer. They give her more room to dig down and give her some other stuff to work with. I think this one of the reasons I want to keep her, because this is my Eric's tarantula. This is one of the reasons I do want to move the Pamphobedius platyoma out. That'll free up a spot that I can put her into, but that'll all come eventually. It's not anything that I need to hurry and do right now, but eventually it's going to have to happen. So, okay, so that's her, and we'll get to the last 3 left over now. Okay, here is the Brachypelma baumgarteni, the Mexican orange. This is one that I had on my list of wants a long time ago. Again, I do want, Albiceps was on there, now it's off because I finally got one. The Brachypelma bomi and the Brachypelma schroderi are the last 2 brachys that I really am interested in. I'm not really, you know, the new Smithies, which are the old Anethas, that, you know, it's not really something that is a necessity for me. Maybe, you know, as I age, again, I'm going to be 48, maybe in the next 4 or 5 years when I start to slow down, I may just go to, you know, all Brachypelmas, or, you know, all terrestrial species, you know, like Brachys and Aphonopelmas, Grammostola, stuff like that are a tad bit slower. They'll be easier for me to work with as my reflexes start to go as you get older. And then I do need to have some that can go to the old folks home with me. So that's, you know, my little Maligro. Hopefully she's a female, so she can take me to the grave. But yeah, they do live a long time. Females can live up to 20 years, possibly 25 to 30, depending on the situation. If you don't overfeed them, you feed them on a normal schedule, you keep them at a decent size, you know. And this, again, a big argument that goes over on the sites all the time is, can a spider be obese? Because the definition of obese is, you know, something that stores fat or is fat, like, you know, most of us. Spiders don't store fat because what they intake is not really fat. They just store energy. And I think, personally, again, and there's not papers that prove one way or another, I think overfeeding is not a good idea. I think you run the risk of stretching the opisthothoma or the abdomen to a point where, as they try to move, they can drag on whatever substrate it is, or like maybe on the bark there, and rupture the abdomen because you're stretching that exoskeleton super tight, and it's just not worth the risk for me. Now, a couple of the spiders that you feed, you see them getting really big. My Aphonopelma chalcodes is big. The Grammostola species mall, she's big in the abdomen. Not stretched, but big, you know, big butted tarantulas. Bulky, female, terrestrial, New World species. So yeah, I want to make sure that I try to keep them at a good size. And, you know, you can argue one way or another, and there's really no way to prove the point, because there is nothing scientifically documented one way or the other that overfeeding is bad or it doesn't really do them any harm. Now, it may hinder their molting process. I don't know how to argue that point, you know, because molting process really isn't about the size of the tarantula. It's more about the internal hydration is what gets the spider out of their molts. And some store their water or internal hydration better than others. Arid species like Brachypelma, they don't water as much. Again, a lot of them will tip their water dishes or fill them with dirt because they don't want the water around. And I don't know if it's because maybe something ingrained in them knows that where water is, there also may be the possibility of predators because everything needs to drink. Again, that's just, a theory of mine based on things that you see if you pay attention or you watch. I mean, I used to watch the National Geographic channel religiously, and I was a big fan of watching all the different videos of Africa, and how the lions will know, when it's the wet season, they'll just sit by the watering holes because they know eventually something's got to go there to drink. So maybe that's something that, why the Brachys do this, or the, Grammostolas do it, or the Aphonopelmas. I really don't know. Again, I'm shooting out a theory, and, how to prove that, I don't know. So anyway, we got 2 more to go, and then we're going to do some feedings. So bear with me. The next ones up are my favorite species of Brachypelma. I just love the colors. I love the design. I love that they don't get real big. I love that they're pretty much docile. They're just, to me, it's the, what appeals to my eye may differ to, what appeals to other people's eyes. But I really, really like the next species coming up. So let's get right to them. Okay, so this is Sable. This is the smaller of the 2 that I have of this species. Both have recently molted within the last few weeks. Not anything like in the last week or so, but it's 3 weeks to a month ago. This one should be ready to eat. I don't think it has yet since it's molted. This is the Brachypelma emilia, the Mexican redleg. I just love the colors of these things. When you get them to that dark red, if you get the ones that are red, the real deep red legs, the red on the carapace with that black triangle, just the way that the color scheme on these things go, I just like the way they look. So this is Sable, and he's kind of in his little domain there. It's a little hollowed out piece of branch. My daughter and I had found this is what the whole thing looks like, so it's just kind of like broken, and there's an entrance to its little cave there. It's really taken to this since I moved it into this larger enclosure out of these deli cups, and deli cups are a savior, for a while, but the lids just absolutely suck. And this last batch of these that I got, it seems like the lids just kind of are real thin and flimsy, and they don't want to pull off very well. I can't find these Sistema containers where I was getting them before. So if I want more of these, I have to order them. And most of the spiders that are in those, we're going to get to the last one here. Most of the spiders that are in those Sistemas are probably going to be in there for a little while. So here is, you can see, look at those legs. This is Haley, Brachypelma emilia. The molt that she or he had a couple weeks back was torn right at the area where you sex them. So I'm hoping beyond belief that this is a female. She is in one of the larger of the 1/24 die-cast scales. This one's just a tad bit longer. I think these are 9 inches long, where the other ones are like 8 inches long, so they're a little bit shorter and tad bit narrower. Not extremely smaller, but small enough that there is a little bit of a difference. So yes, the Mexican red leg Brachypelma emilia is my personal favorite Brachypelma. Has been from the beginning. Again, when I started ordering these, it was hard to find some of these. Now, in the course of the last couple of years, I've really seen this hobby really grow exponentially, believe it or not. I mean, the people that are in the groups, the amount of people, the people that apply or do a request to get into tarantula keepers, because I see them every morning. I mean, we're getting 25 to 30, overnight. A lot of them are from Asia, in the Philippine area. A lot of them are from the England area. We get some from Australia. Most of them are Filipinos. And then you'll get another 25 or so during the day that are, South American, North American, whether they're Canadian or American, or, there's a handful that we get every now and then from Mexico and Panama and places like that. But the amount of people that are into this, so the amount of slings that are now being produced, it's not hard to find almost any of them anymore. When I first started, Poecilotheria metallica they were $195, $200 spider. Now you can get them for $50, which is great. I think it's great for the hobby. But what happens is that, again, I didn't get into this to breed. I mean, I want to do some breeding, but it's not to make money. It's just to put some more slings out there, things that I think are cool, and a project for me to do. To have the spiders mate, get the female lay an egg sac, to develop the eggs, get them into eggs with legs, get them in the first instar, get them the second instar, separate them, and then ship them off. That's what I'm looking forward to, and hopefully, with the Faunopelma hensies, that hopefully we'll be able to breed those this fall. And then it looks like everything's set with KC tarantulas. He's going to mail the mature male Faunopelma chalcodes on Monday, so it'll arrive Tuesday on my birthday, which I think is really, really cool. It's kind of like a little birthday present that I can open up. Have a nice little male Faunopelma to get ready to put with my female. I'm going to give him a little bit of time here and probably get her, I want to say, through mid-August, and see if she molts or not. If she doesn't by then, I may try to introduce them, because as females get older, they molt less frequently. It can be a year, 2 years, 3 years. So hopefully she'll be receptive. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and getting him in. But so those are my Brachypelmas. I think I miscounted because I didn't have Obi down here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 Brachypelma. 4 albopilosums, 3 Hamoris, 2 Amelia, 1 Classy, 1 Albiceps, 1 Baumgarteni. I think that's all of them, right? So yeah, the only other things as far as Brachypelmas that I'm interested in are the Bomi and a Schroderi. And actually, I would be thrilled to even trade for a couple, 1 inch roughly of either one of the species. I have a lot of great stuff here that I'd be willing to move. So if anybody out there has Schroderi slings or Bomi slings and is interested in possibly trading for something, let me know. Hit me up as long as you're in the United States, because I can't do it anywhere else. But okay, so I'm going to start doing some feedings, and hopefully we'll get some good shots. We'll get some good takedowns. We'll get some tarantulas watered and get them all put back on the shelves, and that's going to be it for me for tonight. I'm going to finish watching Tom Moran's video on the slings. Cool off a little bit, try to get some sleep. I haven't been sleeping well the last few days. It's because it's been hot, and with baseball we've been on the go, and you just get tired and drained, and then before you know it, you're only sleeping 3 hours, getting up and going to work. And yesterday was a 12-hour day for me, so that really took a lot out of me. The day before I only worked 4 hours. I took a half-day vacation, but I was out in the sun watching baseball from noon until a little after 8 o'clock last night, or the night before. So I'm still a little whooped from that. But let's get these guys fed, and then we'll get this all edited, updated. Well, not really edited. I don't edit anything. I just cram the videos together, upload them, and then you guys get to watch whatever it is that I'm saying whatever screw-ups I have, my crappy camera work, the reflections from the lights, whatever it is, you guys get to see it all. So, okay, I'll be back. This was actually a long one here, talking about the two Amelias, over 8 minutes. So, let's get some fed. So, unfortunately, I still cannot locate what I did with that tripod. It's here somewhere, and I remember putting it in something, but now I can't remember exactly what. So, we're going to go ahead and feed Callista first. We're going to give her a cricket. Oh, holy moly. Yeah, that was kind of freaky. She jumped and actually took that cricket before it even come out of this little pill vial. I wasn't expecting that at all. I'll have to look at that footage and see what that looks like. But she has been, or he has been, pretty crazy one since I got it. He's going to want to go in underneath his home there, but she kind of filled it in with dirt, so now he's having a hard time squeezing in there. But that's like a hollowed out cork bark tube that goes all the way back to the corner. So yeah, anyway, well, that's Callista, the absolutely insane Brachypelma albopilosum. Okay, so Obi will be next, and you can see how skittish she is. There he is. There's the cricket, and there's the takedown. It doesn't take long for them, these Brachypelma, that when they are hungry or when they want to eat food, they don't waste much time. It hits the dirt, or as you can see with Callista, she practically jumped out of the enclosure onto the edge of that vial and took the cricket as it was just coming out of there. And it's odd how they can feel that. It's almost like when the cricket is moving, before it even gets into the enclosure, that subtle change in their atmosphere tells them that there's prey around. Because they don't have good eyesight, so it's not like, she could see that. She could see what I'm doing. Because if they had good eyesight, they'd be freaked out that they're seeing us, that's for sure. So, yep, there's Obi. We're going to get him watered up. I forgot to put water in with Callista, so I'm going to do that real quick too. And we'll move on. Next up, we'll have, this is Alistair. This is the Brachypelma vagans. This is the one that we rehomed right at the beginning. We'll see if it's be willing to eat now that it's in its new home. If the cricket cooperates. We'll watch little cricket take its time getting back to the spider. Kind of help it out a little bit. She wants it, that's for sure. Now, the problem with the enclosure that I put her in is it's very low, so they can come out pretty easily. There's not a lot to, the hurdle, the big hurdle's not there. Now the cricket knew there's something up, so the cricket's going to stay still. So I'm going to pause you for a second so I can get something to move the cricket. Well, it's moving now. You can't go through the plant. Brachypelma vagans, I think, are one of the best eaters out of the Brachypelma genus. I would nudge that cricket, but knowing not with my finger, I won't. So yeah, let me grab a roach manipulator. Okay, we're back. Yeah, see, we are very, very food responsive here. They are very, very touchy today. I don't think that cricket has much chance now. The problems that you have sometimes with roaches or crickets that are very active is that sometimes they won't actually get them right away, and the crickets may want to get to the side of the enclosure and start to move, and then your spider goes to get it and misses, and it just keeps on going. That's where you see a lot of OBT escapes. Tom Moran had almost one in one of his videos. You stay down. Now she's still getting used to her environment, so she's not really quite sure what her barriers are yet. So, but yeah, there's the Brachypelma vagans, and I'm going to give Alistair some water and move on to the next one. So we're at the Brachypelma Amelia. I'm not sure what she'll do. She was a great eater for a while, and then kind of tapered off. So the last, in between molts, there was only 2 feedings. Was really not interested in food at all. So we'll see what happens here. Just try to get a feeding through the glass, or through the plastic anyway. Now she kind of backed out away from the cricket when I dropped it in there. She hasn't come out of the whole entire huge cave yet, so again I have to apologize for filming through the plastic and then losing focus. Oh, there you go, she got her. That's great. Well, maybe she'll bring it out. We'll be able to see her back here. That would be kind of nice. And you can actually see what she really looks like. There she is, right there. She's not completely got, all her colors yet because they're still dull. You can see the black triangle and her red abdomen hair, which she didn't have in the last molt, and the more reddish legs. I always get excited, and this is kind of weird. And most keepers, I think, are that way. I mean, because you're happy when they eat. Not only because I'm filming and I want everybody to see that, but when they haven't eaten in a little while, or they molted and they have refused food once or twice, when they finally eat, it's like a huge weight off your shoulders. But we did water her up, and yeah, we'll move on to the next ones now. The next ones are going to be all small, so they're going to be kind of small crickets, and hopefully we'll be able to see some takedowns. I'm sure Maligro will eat. I'm not sure if Thaisa will eat. I'm sure that the small vagans and the small albiplosum will also eat. Of course, we have to skip Lincoln and Rosado from feeding because they molted too recently. So, okay, let's move on. We're going to try Pepper. Yeah, Pepper, not Pepper. Pepper's the baby. This is Maligro. And boom, right off the bat. See, I mean, they don't waste time. I've noticed with the Hamoris, now even Pepper, the small one, if I tear a cricket leg off, throw it in there, it'll pounce on it just like this one pounced on the cricket, if it wants to eat. Now, they don't always want to eat, and that's why I think it takes them such a long time to grow as slings, because they don't always want to eat. This one's been a good eater. Not quite as good as Obi, but a pretty decent eater nonetheless. I sure hope this one's a female. I really do. Okay, so let's try and feed the Classy again. It's been a handful of days, and fangs are black, so I'm confident that it's ready to eat. We'll see if it really wants to yet or not. So let's get a small cricket for that one and give it a shot. Okay, so there's Thaisa. In goes the cricket, and yes, we did. Excellent. I think we were a little out of focus on that takedown, but nonetheless. So we're doing pretty good so far with feedings. Let's hope that trend continues with the last few. We're going to go ahead and try the Brachypelma baumgarteni next. And you can see how quick that Thaisa decimated that cricket. I mean, there's no movement left. You can see the venom, or I guess that may not be venom, but the internal fluids of the cricket there right past the backside of its head. Alrighty, so we're doing well. Let's move on. Okay, now this one, I think I said this, I recycled the name Naranja, which is orange in Spanish, so I thought that would be a fitting name for the Brachypelma, or the Mexican orange, so the Brachypelma baumgarteni. It was the name that I gave my original Tapenikinius gigas, the orange tree spider, which I've had 3 now, and all 3 of them have died. I have no idea what I'm doing wrong with the Tapenikinius. I'm clueless. I had a little bit of issues with 2 Psalmopoeus cambridgei also, and one of the Lampropelma viola cepus died the other day also. And it was after it was sprayed down, and actually after it fed. So, you know, it was sprayed for water, or for the humidity and the moisture that the species needs, and it was fed a small cricket that was crushed. It pounced on it right away, and the next day it was curled up in a ball. I have no idea what happened there. It did get the cricket, so it's not like the cricket, you know, got to him or it. This spider is very, very flighty. When it doesn't want to eat, as you could tell right now, it really doesn't want to do, it tends to get a little skittish and wants to run from the cricket. So that's kind of a telltale for me. I'm going to go ahead and just try and get this cricket out now, because if it didn't pounce on it right away, it's not going to. It possibly could be the beginning of pre-molt there, but not really looking in it much if it is. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to try and get that cricket out for this little guy so it's not going to drive it crazy. I don't mind leaving crickets in enclosures overnight if the spider's not really running from it. If it just kind of just like watches it go by, that's one thing, but when it's running from it, I don't like leaving them in there, because to me that just tells me that that spider is not ready to have prey in there. So let's get that out, and we'll move on to the next 2. Next up is the other Brachypelma emilia. This is sable. Not sure if we're going to be able to see anything, even if it does get the cricket. Maybe if the cricket goes, yep, you got it. So you see the flash. Oh, maybe it didn't. It tried. There's the cricket right there. So you saw the flash of the spider move. That was it trying to get the cricket. We'll just kind of watch it for a little bit here and see if that dumb cricket decides to go down inside there. And sometimes when you have these setups that, you know, again, I'm not saying this is a naturalistic look, but, you know, it's as natural as you can get in a small enclosure like that, where, you know, I purposely put the logs or the wood the way I did, so it was like a hollowed out log, so that Sable had some place to go and feel safe, because she did and has always either burrowed or likes to be underneath something. Generally, it would be under her water dish. So I figured when I moved her out of the delic cup into this enclosure, putting her in something, you know, such as that type of piece of wood, which, you know, was like almost one of my favorite pieces of wood I found, because it's a perfect sling hideaway, just by the shape of it and that, you know, the curve of it. So, you know, it's something that we're going to go out and look for some more pieces like this. We found that here in the woods outside of the area where we live here. The cricket doesn't really want to go where I want it to, but it'd be a good shot if she would come out and nail that cricket right there, wouldn't it? I don't see her moving at all. And the camera moving is actually because my arms are up against my body and I'm breathing and they're moving. If you see the camera stop moving like that, that means I'm probably dead because I stopped breathing. It doesn't look like, well, let's try just giving the cricket a little nudge and see if we can get it to go down inside there with her. I know I'm probably not actually there. It's inside now. went in this way. You can see her there. She does have part of her black triangle, and she does have her coloring, not great, but she's smaller than the other one. I'd be tickled if I had a male and female that got kind of matured out together. Okay, well, it doesn't look like we're going to get any action out of her, so we will move on to the next. Okay, so this is the smallest Brachypelma vagans, well, smaller too, and boom, nailed it right away. I knew this one would be ready to eat. Like I said, Brachypelma vagans are generally very, very good eaters as far as the Brachypelma genus. It is one that I would recommend to beginners. With the albopilosum, this one, Gramstol pulchripes, Euatha species red, Euapolastris campostratus are probably the top 5 that I generally will recommend to beginner keepers. Now, again, each different individual, I hate that dog, each individual tarantula may vary, because my experience so far with the vagans is that they're not flicky. They can be a tad bit more skittish, and they can be a bit more defensive than most of the other Brachypelmas. Don't get me wrong. That's not a hindrance to me as far as deterring them from someone that's a beginner. What I like about them is they have great colors when they start to get bigger, that deep black in the legs, in the carapace, the reddish on the abdomen. They grow at a decent rate. They're very good eaters. Some of them can be handleable. I'm not saying that they all can be. Like I said, these ones tend to be a tad bit more skittish and a tad bit more defensive than most Brachypelma are, at least out of the ones that I've had. I can't speak for the ones that I haven't kept yet. You can see just by turning the enclosure how skittish it gets. But I think that overall, the characteristics of someone that's new in the hobby that wants something that's bulletproof, that grows at a decent rate, that will eat for you, possibly be able to handle it now and then, has a decent growth rate, I would probably go with this one over any other spider that's out there. Again, unless you don't like the coloring of that species whatsoever, you really can't go wrong with them. No, you really can't. As slings, you could put them in a vial. They will dig and they will burrow and they will molt down there. They will throw the molts out, and they will, after a little while, when they get a little bit bigger, they start to get a little bit more bold. This one is, I did not really intend to put in this deli cup because you see I don't have anything really for it to hide under. I do have to go through, I need to clean out all my spider accessories, get rid of stuff I know I'm not going to use, and then try to utilize some of the wood and build some small cave hides for some of these smaller enclosures, stuff like what I did right there. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just something that they can get under if they want to. That is Maligro. Never goes underneath there, it's always out in the open. So this is one of the deli cups that I have I hate the lid. It goes on real great, but coming off is just a pain in the ass. So we have one more to feed, and that is Juno Brachypelma albopilosum. Probably will get something just a tad bit bigger, maybe 2 small crickets, I guess. I don't know that it can take down one of those bigger crickets that I have, and they didn't have any medium size. I'm trying to stay away from my roach colony right now. There's nothing wrong with it, I just need them to breed. I need smaller ones, so I need them to breed. So I'm trying to, I noticed when I went through, we'll get this one set up here real quick, and we'll restart it. But when I noticed the other day when I was looking at the Red Runner colony, there weren't a ton of males in there, because I tended to feed the males off, because the Avix, Carabina, the Salmos, all those, the pulkers love the males. Not that they don't like the females, but the males just, they're so flighty, and they got those wings, and they just nail them right away. So I was in a habit of feeding them, and then I realized that there's probably only a dozen males left in there, so I don't want to touch what's in there. Now, I've seen a lot of females with eggs, so I'll probably go through and see if there's anything down the bottom and take the eggs out and then put them into a separate container, as I did the first set that are incubating right now. Hopefully those will hatch sometime in the next week or so, and I'll have a bunch of little baby nymphs. That's what I want. so I can stop buying these crickets, because I really don't like crickets. I mean, it's something you can feed them every now and then, you know, to break things up, but I'm not a big fan of crickets. So let me get some little guys for this one, and we'll get this one fed and watered, and that will be the end of the video. And yeah, what am I going to say now? Let's get some crickets. Got two little tiny crickets in there. Nothing major. Again, I don't have, I mean, I have dubias I could probably put in there, but I want to, when I buy these crickets, I like to try and feed them off right away. And then the ones that I don't feed the first day, then I will, you know, put something in there with them, because generally where I'm getting them from, they are being fed pretty good. They always have something in their containers, and they always have gel in there for hydration, so I'm not really worried about keeping them for a day or two and then trying to stuff a bunch of carrots and oranges and stuff into them. I want to get them fed. The quicker I get these ones fed off, the less deaths I have, so I feel like I'm getting more out of my money, if you know what I mean. But let's see what, oh boy, you know, that didn't take any time whatsoever. She got the first one right off. If that little one will go down there too. Let's see if she'll take that little one too. So what I'll do is we'll wait a second or two here, see if she takes a second cricket, and then I'm going to go ahead and try and sex the molt from risotto, and then I'll add that into the end of the video and finish up the video that way. So I'll either be able to tell you that yes, we have another female for sure, or we're still kind of suspecting it, or no, we definitely have a male. And then I'll end it that way, because I do have a thank you I want to add in at the end of this video. I don't have the computer set up to do a proper shout out. Oh, and the cricket's out. These little baby crickets jump. I can't believe how good they can jump, how far. Look at that, right back out again. Yep. Okay, so I guess that's all. That's all going to be for the feeding, because that one's now on the floor and I got to try and catch it. So yeah, let me try and sex that molt. We'll finish up, and we'll tell you what's upcoming. Okay, so here is risotto. Sex the molt. Didn't take long to tell. It's definitely a female. So we have now 2 confirmed females, 1 suspected female, and the Nicaraguan, which we have to have a molt to find out. So again, as much as I love Brachypelmas, I'm not going to need all these females, so I probably will be looking to possibly trade this one off or sell or whatever. I'm not really quite sure. I'm not gonna go crazy trying to get it done, but yeah, I want to get her off that water dish. She won't move. I don't want to poke her or prod her. Definitely female. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's 2 really dominant spermatozoa, the half ovals that are separate from the abdomen wall, so you can flip them. It's pretty evident at this size, and you know that is a Gatorade bottle cap, so you can kind of somewhat gauge the size of the spider. Probably 2 inches. Maybe, yeah, I would say 2 inches would be my guess. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed touring the Brachypelmas with me. It was actually kind of a lot more fun doing it than I thought, because, you know, again, there were quite a few of them. So I did enjoy doing the footage. The feedings all turned out pretty good, except for the Baumgarteni. The only one that really didn't feed. Everybody else fed. I'm going to cricket leg the Albiceps and the small Hamori, and then give them a little bit of spray on the side of the enclosure for some moisture content if they want to drink. So the thank you that I want to give, and I have made some really really, I don't want to say real close friendships, but there are some people that I do interact with a lot more than others that are on my videos all the time, that are commenting on my Instagram all the time. I'm not sure if I'm friends with all of them on Facebook, but I think I'm going to start looking some of them up. Some of them I don't know their actual names, so I have to do some, messaging back and forth here on YouTube or on Instagram to get some of their names so that I can friend them on Facebook and we can follow each other there. But the shout out I want to give today, and this is just going to be an informal one. I don't have the computer set up because I have spiders everywhere. Is a good friend of mine. I really enjoy watching his stuff. I enjoy listening to him talk. I'm not a huge snake guy. I love reptiles. I don't have any, so not that the snake videos don't interest me. I love watching him interact, giving you the information that he has when he takes his snakes outside. He's still learning the tarantula part of it, but he's getting so much better so quickly. His collection's starting to grow. He makes some excellent enclosures for his little ones. He really cares about the stuff that he cares about. Family included. He's a big family guy. His son does most of his filming for him, and it's really cool to hear him talk about his family and how they're starting to all get together into it. But Boxing Boa, thanks for the shout outs that you've done for me. Thanks for the compliments, sending people my way. I hope that the stuff that you've learned from me, just the small things that I've learned from other people, has helped. I know it has. The enclosures that you're doing are fantastic. The stuff that you're picking up, and the videos that you're doing they're top rate all the time. The positivity it exudes from you through the videos to whoever's watching them. I actually, honestly, watching Marilyn Moore, I always feel good after watching her videos, and I feel the same way after watching his videos. A great guy, super guy, is always commenting on my videos, and it's a pleasure to have someone like that as a hobby friend. And I hope that your stuff continues to grow and you prosper and everything goes great for you. But please, if you are a member or a subscriber of mine and you haven't checked his stuff out, Boxing Boa, BOXING BOA, go check out his stuff. I think he's got, I'm almost positive he's got a lot more subscribers than I do, but he's, there's a separate part of all his stuff with the reptiles and the snakes and stuff. So I think he's been doing it a little bit longer than I have too. So go watch his stuff. Go say hi. Tell him that I sent you. And keep up the great work, my friend, and we'll talk to everybody soon.